coming today. Right now we have the best D2 team on the red side and Team NXN on the blue side. And with me I have Mike, Andy, and Angel casting the day. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to be here. It is always a great time to be able to talk about League of Legends, especially on a beautiful Sunday like today. Be here. It is.
Oh
Yep, and
yeah,
I'm
definitely a good day to see some good League of Legends. Yesterday we saw Team NXN play a few games. Some didn't go so well, so it'll be interesting to see how they play against today.
yeah, and we're just waiting here now for a spectator delay before we jump right into our first game of the.
But I do have to say, NXN, their composition's looking pretty solid. D2 team, we were talking about a little bit earlier. It is some question marks in there. You know, we got this whole bunch of poke coming out, but then we got the hard engage and the Leona and the Camille. I don't know. It's really interesting how they're going to try and play that into this NXN comp.
Something that we heard a lot about yesterday was comfort, comfort, comfort. So we might be seeing a lot of comfort picks from best D2 team, because if you're not comfortable on a champion, you're not going to play well anyways.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I'm kind of excited though to see the Heimerdinger pick. I feel like it's always fun to watch a good Heimerdinger play. So it's definitely a spicy and interesting pick that I'm ready to look out for throughout this.
NXN though, they're aware of that pick and they went right for the counter pick in the Syndra. You know, Heimerdinger really good at setting up those turrets and creating a very constantly pushing wave. It's very hard to deal with, doesn't allow for a lot of roams. Syndra, however, obviously can just pick up the turret and throw it away. You don't need to worry about Heimerdinger's, oppressive like wall that he can set up because you can just pick it up and throw it into the bush somewhere and just forget about it until later.
Yeah, exactly. And I think yesterday we saw Team NXN running with a very similar comp, and they seem to do pretty well with it. So I'm worried if comfort is enough for best D2 team to win.
And if we're looking at the bot lane, we see that NXN picked up Zaya and Rakan, obviously super impressive and super engaged. Going to be interesting to see how that plays out, and I'm excited to see it too.
Yeah, the Lovers Duo, something that has really never left the competitive scene. You know, it is just so easy to execute. You don't really have to, think about it too much because everything just works so good together. Zaya being able to just put out just a ton of damage once she gets those items going, so much bonus attack speed along with the feather retrieval. Rakan being able to keep them super safe, having that very long engage. You can kind of have the Zaya, out in front, making sure that baiting people in is super easy because if you think you see a lone Zaya, she's so squishy. You can just run in, blow her up, hopefully get out in time before the rest of the team comes in. But when combined with this Rakan, he can shield over the wall and get in and then just pop, the battle dance and the ultimate there and just scoop everybody together and set up a really clean play, especially when you have Graves, Syndra, backing up that Zaya. That's so much just like targeted area damage that you can run through. You get the CC from Syndra, the ultimate from Graves, and then once everybody's together, clumped together, if they're still alive, you can just have Zac jump in, connect everybody once again, and then just do it all again.
I will say that they are lacking Skinergy. We have Star Guardian and Cosmic Dawn, as opposed to one or the other for both of them.
I mean, they're just having an off day. You don't have to match your partner every day. Sometimes you just want to be a little different. You got to look at what's best for everybody.
Loading into the rift here. Any second now.
And I'm curious to see what the starts are. We talked about how Red Side does have this very poke-centered comp and will have the opportunity to lay siege to a lot of things. But their level 1 is actually pretty strong when you combine the Leona and the Camille, because that's a lot of CC at level 1 if you do decide to start with the Camille E and make sure that you really secure a kill. But right off the bat, it does look like they are going to be going for a typical 5-man spread out formation and not worry too much about it. And we do see NXN throwing out some pings to make sure that they get to the right spots.
Yeah, exactly. And if we're talking level one, you obviously have to recognize that they have a Nidalee, they have an Ezreal, and their level ones are just as insane with the amount of poke that they bring, it's going to be hard to counter anything, any sort of invade that blue side might be able to do.
Definitely, and we saw Nidalee ward her red back, and now she's heading down to the blue buff. So probably going to see a blue start here from Nidalee.
Which is pretty standard. Nidalee, very mana heavy, kind of early on, doesn't really have the greatest clear at level 1. The current jungle is very easy to do for most champions, but you still need to think about it a little bit when you are on Nidalee, because you need to find a way to make all your camps generate at the same time so you can fast clear it, get to a lane, get that gank off without losing too much pressure in other portions of the map.
Right, and now I seem to have missed this, but it was a Zac top pick from Team NXN. So
Yeah.
the Zac is waiting to go into lane though to maybe hint that there was a blue side start.
So Zac top, we've been seeing it a lot more recently. It has come up in the previous weeks. You do get all of the advantages that Zac typically brings. That long range engage, the just tons of CC that he can bring out in his kit. But you get the benefit of having lane gold, because one thing he does lack is just innate tankiness. He doesn't have any buffs in his kit, like in his abilities. He just has to be tanky through his items, and items cost money. And so when you're in the jungle, you don't exactly get the same economy that these top laners get. And man, that top lane is so far not going good for E-Hate.
Like
Yep,
you said, he's not inherently tanky, and Camille does have a lot of early damage between her Q and her E.
And this is the struggle that Zac will have in matchups like this. He's never going to win a trade with Camille. He has to just survive, eat that pressure, stack up gold, and be ready for the team fights when he can combo with Kevin on the Rakan, get these big team fight wins, and hope that Millennium Fox can't take such advantage of him that the split push becomes just unanswerable.
Seems to be a fairly slow start to the game. Everyone's just farming their lanes. Nidalee getting that full clear done, and Graves going for the topside scuttle. We might see a skirmish here.
I think Nidalee actually got that
She did.
scuttle crab.
Camille going in on the Graves. Getting the stun off, getting the Q. Slow. Nidalee Q flashes the Nidalee Q to get away.
So very nice setup there. Both junglers, Nidalee was a little bit behind, but it ends up working out. They get the Scuttle Crab, they get the flash out of Graves. That's now one less tool he's going to be bringing to these future ganks. He's not the most mobile champion. He does still have the quick draw and able to get over walls and create some different gank patterns. But if he needs to get out of a hairy situation again, like the one we just saw, he will no longer have that opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. The quick draw is nice, but it's not as good as a flash in terms of escaping.
Look what they did.
Zac passive getting procced. Camille going around for the kill. Doesn't seem like she'll be able to get all he's down, but flashes to dodge the hook shot and gets away.
Does end up taking a tower shot for his trouble, but here we see the engage in the bottom lane. First blood gonna come out. Jerry Wu surviving though. Leona's pretty tanky.
Yeah, Leona's just gonna walk away from that one and start her back. But the Zac without flash on the top side might be a juicy target for this Nidalee to start ganking.
We've seen the Zac E-Hate so far be very liberal with his elastic slingshot aggressively. And so, like you said, not having that flash available, it is no longer an option when trying to survive a gank. And when he's using the elastic slingshot offensively, it's got a pretty long cooldown at this rank, so he's not going to be able to use it defensively. Right now, see, he goes in, uses it offensively. We see Nidalee up by the Krugs, and if he continued to try and push that wave, definitely, like you said, would have been a very prime gank target. For now, though, he is going to take a back. Nidalee also taking the chance to back as well. Actually hasn't backed yet either, so we're going to have to see what she can decide to pick up here. And is just picking up the Phoenix Codex along with her jungle item completed. So a little bit ahead of the Graves.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't help that the Graves got pushed off of his jungle and had to flash away, so we'll have to see if Nidalee can stretch this lead. Heimerdinger coming down as the bot lane is engaging. Leona's getting pretty low, the egg comes out and no stuns. Heimer's just gonna take the long walk of shame back to mid lane.
This is actually a pretty hard lane to gank on both sides. We talked about the Xayah Rakan safety net that they can bring together. Leona also being an all or nothing champion. But for now, it looks like they're just going to go for another kill. Battle Dance in. Tower Shot going to not take the kill, actually.
Wow.
But a double kill for Nutley.
Nidalee missing her spear on the stunned Syndra, not a good sign, but that damage from the Xayah onto the Leona was instantaneous. Completely destroyed her from 1/3 health.
That damage was actually pretty insane, and I thought for a second that Rakan was going to be able to get out just in time, but that Ignite unfortunately was able to take. And although Nidalee was ahead via CS and some jungle skirmishes, Graves managed to get the first dragon for his team.
Yeah, lately dragons have been the name of the game, and the team that gets the Dragon Soul usually seems to be the one that wins. So we'll have to see how team best D2 team answers those dragon takes.
Not to mention we have an Infernal now, and coming up in just a few minutes, and we had a Cloud Drake just taken. So I wonder what the Dragon Soul ended.
So the options are the Ocean Soul and the Earth Soul. And they're both very similar, I feel, and you guys may disagree, but for now, this is not looking good.
Nidalee getting caught out by the Graves after missing her spear, wastes her jump, flashes over the wall and barely dodges the Syndra stun.
Scatter of the week, just not long enough. Really unfortunate there. But like I was saying, feel free to disagree with me, guys, but I definitely think that the Earth Soul and the Ocean Soul are very similar, very defensive. One giving you that flat shield and one giving you life back on ability landing. Small little skirmish here. Lee just not letting up.
They're very similar, given that they're both defensive-based dragons, but the Mountain Drake will not help Team NXN as much as it will help best D2 team, because if they're not stacking those defenses, then the percent bonus from Earth Dragon will not help them out as much as the Ocean Drake will help them regen from this poke comp that they're facing.
And so right now we did see the engagement there, the TP coming down.
Flashing the Scatter of the Week.
Wow, the
Everything is just
Rakan
working.
dodging everything with his Battle Dance. Insane.
Nidalee coming in, getting the Q. That's just gonna kill the Rakan.
The very cheeky Q.
Yeah,
It's gotta
back
be
in the
upfield
days
bad.
when that ability used to do 1200 damage no matter what, we used to see that a lot. Haven't seen it in a hot minute though, so it is always fun to see that come out of the jungle side.
Yes, definitely a fun game when you see a lot of big Nidalee Qs landing. Seems like Graves is going for a scuttle this time, and he won't be able to have it stolen because he knows Nidalee has bot side.
So that bottom side fight that we saw, that was actually really interesting because we saw how aggressive the blue side bottom lane was, and we can see them aggressing again. Jerry Wu going in, not under tower.
Xayah dodging the Israel ultimate. It was engaging there. It was not something I think I would have myself, but they almost got the Rakan there. Rakan is just barely living every time.
Yeah, the Man Immune now completed for that Israel means that he's kind of on par damage-wise with the Xayah. Still lots of opportunity for the Xayah to out-damage him, but for now, if they can keep getting these poke in, it is going to really be able to secure the fights. And with how aggressive the NXN bot lane has been, it is very difficult for them to recover from these lost trades.
Now, NXN's bot lane has been dominating the lane, but they still have to back off and run because this Nidalee is always in the jungle, always dangerous, especially when they're so low.
Yeah, tried to go in for the execute there on the Rakan. Not quite enough damage just yet, but if that happens again in about 5 minutes, we'll definitely see the death timer come down. And this top lane, pretty rough still for E-Hate. You know, we do see a pretty sizable CS difference coming in. But now with that Bramble Vest and the Doran Shield, surviving. Not excelling, but he's surviving.
Yes. The classic counter to melee champions top lane is building a Bramble Vest and Ninja Tabbies.
Ultimate coming down. Oh no.
Graves missing his ultimate, but still securing the kill. Heimer not able to do much to help save the Nidalee, and Syndra barely getting away.
Now, even though the top lane might be down by a lot of CS, it's going to be really interesting to see just how impactful he's going to be in team fights versus the Camille, who's probably going to opt for more of a split push style later on to this.
And the build path that we're getting from her definitely seems to agree with you. You know, going for the Blade of the Ruined King first buy, gonna have that lifesteal attack speed and % health damage, all of which are pretty good here, and this is a very dead Heimer.
Yeah, getting hit by every single piece of CC, getting hit by both sides of the end of the line.
Cutie trying to get in there, but the damage difference too great. Zion gonna pick up the solo kill there, and now the support Jerry Wu caught out as well.
Zion getting a lucky crit onto that Ezreal as he shifted away.
The rotations by blue side, though, have been absolutely insane. They're playing at such a cognitive team.
Definitely seem to have a lot more team play from NXN than Best D2 team.
And it does look like we are going to be getting that Mountain Soul. We talked about it a little bit earlier. For the person to collect the soul itself gives you a shield every few seconds or so that does regen. But in the process of getting there, you do get the Mountain Dragons, which give you a boost to your defensive resistances and allow you to be just a bit tankier.
Oh, what a play by the Zac.
Definitely unexpected. Rex trying to get in and trade kill. Does get the passive proc, but meanwhile, Cutie in the bottom lane gonna go down once again, unfortunately.
Definitely a rough time to be Ezreal, but Nidalee messing up her combo there on the Zac to proc the passive and doesn't get it. Now we see Syndra and Graves going for an invade. They seem to know that the Nidalee is there. Graves hopping the wall, shooting his Q. Nidalee running away.
Yeah,
now Graves
Nidalee
seems to be going for the red buff.
Yeah, when you have this type of advantage in the mid-jungle duo, you do get the privilege to be able to just run in and take camps. And unfortunately, the timing was just right that they end up getting, like you said, the red buff, which is pretty impactful for Nidalee, both experience and gold-wise, but also having that auto-attack slow can be very instrumental in some of these ganks, because outside of that, she really doesn't have any CC. And that's part of the reason why we haven't been seeing a lot of the champion as of late. You know, we've seen very high-tempo, CC-heavy junglers, and Nidalee does struggle a little bit when, you know, countered by these types of champions.
Definitely, but as I said before, we see a lot of comfort in this tournament. Nidalee definitely is one of those old comfort champions for a lot of junglers.
Yeah, I mean, there was a time when Nidalee was the go-to jungler because she was able to clear so much quicker than everybody else and was able to just output the tons of damage that you were expecting from junglers back then. And so she can still do both of those things, which is, again, like you said, why she is such a comfort for people. But there are some downsides to the champion kit currently.
like you gotta hit your spears, which Nidalee did not do just there, but... Seems like we're going back to just some more farming here in lanes.
So I'm curious. Right now, we have 2 minutes left on the first Earth Dragon. This will potentially set up Soul Point for NXN. And it doesn't seem like best D2 team have been wanting to contest them for, so far. With 2 minutes left and them seemingly pretty far behind, especially item-wise. Heimerdinger not having completed an item yet. Leona not having completed an item yet. Do you expect them to fight at this dragon or wait for the Soul Point dragon?
I feel as though perhaps they just need to stave out, look for a good, just wait it out and look for a good fight that they know they can win. And unfortunately, that might not be coming anytime soon because this Heimerdinger's damage is just absolutely.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think they need to take a fight before it becomes Dragon Point, because then it starts to feel all the more desperate and meaningful, but they definitely made the right play there. A huge bounty going out to the Heimerdinger, and the bot lane finally being shut down. I think that's what they need to get this next dragon and turn the game around.
Can't help but feel bad for this Camille, though. I mean, after being 40 CS ahead and still having to contest every single fight and slowly getting waned away by the Zac, it's just not a feels.
Getting a little friendly hand there from the mid laner who was helping Graves a little bit before that.
Ooh, Graves picked up the Nidalee spear, has run away. Not able to contest the Rift Herald. Graves going to smite it away. Leona died to the Symbol. And it seems like a complete disengage from the red team. Expression flashing forward, scatter the weak onto the Ezreal. Ezreal flashing away. Rakan flashing onto Ezreal. Ezreal fighting for his life, but he's going to go down to the graves.
Just another dominant fight coming out from NXN. They had the early aggression on the Rift Herald itself. They were able to rotate up and get the kill on the top lane. And then after that, the counter engage coming out from best D2 team was easily stuffed out by the bottom lane side of NXN, rotating up to the rest of the team and being just that much farther ahead than the best D2 team's bottom lane. Being able to take that Herald instantly mid lane as well, getting 2 towers. Only one with the Herald itself, but I'll always take 2 towers.
So even though the best D2 team won that bot lane fight, Graves is still able to continue to secure the dragon. That Rift really helped clear a lot of pressure on the map so that they could get this next dragon so they can start working on the Dragon Soul. Seems like we're having a little mid lane siege.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing objective-wise left on the map in terms of neutral objectives. Everything left is these tier 1 towers, both top and middle still have them. And really unfortunate engage there from Cutie. Sometimes that happens.
Forward into the tower and getting rooted. Yeah, definitely something that's talked about a lot is not shifting forward, but
sometimes
Ezreal wanted that kill.
Yeah, I mean, this Xayah has just been abusing this damage difference all game. Being able to afford the cheaper items, not having to wait as long to come online, having a lot of innate boosters in the kit itself lets you do these things, especially when comboed with the Rakan. We talked about the safety that they bring. The damage boost that having both of them together is also pretty high. And so the Leona Ezreal lane really struggling to try and combat that. And, this whole domination that we've been seeing this whole time has been because the Xayah Rakan has been able to get ahead and press the issue. They know that they have the advantage. They know that they can, win these fights. And that's why we just saw them just straight up running at the Ezreal Leona.
Although Ezreal does come in now, finishing his mirror mana. So hopefully he might be able to come back to this game.
He still has a long way to go to start reaching the DPS of the Xayah. And it seems like it just keeps falling apart around the best D2 team. Camille's not winning her lane anymore. She's has to fight the Zac for every single CS. And we're going to see a 20-minute Baron take.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those privileges you get when you get vision control and you can take the fight afterwards, or at least think you can take the fight afterwards. You know, if they saw the Camille was bot side, they could see that everybody else was out of position on the side of the best D2 team. They know they have the damage because they have 3 damage dealers in the... Holy moly.
This Xayah is just demolishing everything. The Grey is going for the ult, misses on the Heimerdinger. Syndra ulting the Leona. Seems like Heimer's gonna get away.
This unfortunate timing, 2 minutes left on the Dragon, means that this does give NXN full opportunity to take vision control.
A little duel going on between Ezreal and Syndra.
If Syndra lands an ability, it's over. All right.
Yep, there was that ability.
Speak of landing an ability. See a little emote BM from the Syndra, all in good fun. But this Xayah is doing so much damage.
I believe this should be the inhibitor take too. Actually no, it does look like they are going to be backing off. Leona showing her face. Just scary enough that they rethink their life choices.
No point to throw the game yet.
Yeah, there is still Dragon Soul, and with how tanky NXN can get, that is going to be very influential once they get it, because at this point I don't see a way for best do team to try and, you know, secure and fight over the Dragon Soul.
I think the next course of action for best D2 team is to just have a last stand at the Dragon and try and start taking these back. Because they're already getting sieged, they're already losing team fights regularly. It's only going to get worse with the Dragon Soul on NXN.
Yeah, unfortunately, I feel if they don't make their last stand at that Dragon, it's probably going to be the end of the game.
Yeah, and that is kind of the difference in the compositions. You know, we've talked about comfort versus cohesion, but what we haven't talked about is the difference between poke and engage. You know, League of Legends has always had this kind of rock, paper, scissors style where the engage comps beat the poke comps and the poke comps beat the healing comps in some form. And so right now what we're seeing is a poke comp versus an engage comp. And this engage is bonkers.
A lot of stuff going down. Zac and ults going off everywhere, and almost a clean ace. Nidalee escaping with her life, but it's gonna be Dragon Soul for Team NXN. Probably the game soon after.
You just have to admire how well the Graves has been playing and forcing these objectives at every moment he can, taking the Baron at 20 minutes and taking every single Dragon as soon as they come up, making sure he has vision at all over the map. It's just been immaculate play on NXN.
Yeah, and I mean, the Zac, we kind of said it would be rough for him, and it was rough for about 5 levels. But the Bramble Vest came in, he was able to press the issue in the lane, get a solo kill, and is now at a point where the Camille can't duel because is only at the one item, doesn't have... Oh no, that's unfortunate. Doesn't have the damage to cut through this Sunfire Bramble Vest, which coincidentally, the Bramble Vest isn't even completed, it's just sitting there. But yeah, it's just really rough. We saw the great engage down there at the Dragon in favor of NXN. They were able to get the Dragon Soul off of it, and now it's just there's nothing left for best D2 team to do. They can't poke out because of the shield, they can't survive because of the damage, they can't fight back because of the engage, and this is going to be the second inhibitor going down. So now it looks like NXN, they are going to be going back to base, resetting a little bit. They should have a healthy amount of gold. The only broke one right now is Dumahi on the Syndra, backing with 500 gold. Everybody else having at least 1,100 in the bank. They're going to be finishing up their last items, maybe buying some elixirs, but they pinging the Baron, which is in about a minute and a half. That that really is the end. They take
Yeah.
the Baron, they go bottom, they take the inhibitor, push on through, and again, I don't see anything for best U2 team at this point to fight back.
It all has to be just acts of desperation. So they have to fight the Baron. They don't fight the Baron, NXN's just gonna walk it down mid basically, and end the game with Baron super minions.
NXN had their goals before the game, and they knew exactly what they needed to do, and they actively looked to complete their goals, and they're reaping the rewards now. It's an easy cleanup, easy Barons, easy Dragons.
Easy is definitely what it seems to be, but seems like they're getting a lot of teamfight ultimates out during this disengage by a team D2 team, but NXN's just gonna keep going in.
This Zach just does not care.
It
Yeah,
seems they
Zach-
don't need the Baron.
No, that should just about do it. That is going to be the Team Ace double kill coming at the end for Lee. Teleport just to keep the minion alive at the tower, but honestly, they don't even need it. One Nexus tower goes down, the second soon to follow. But it looks like they kind of want some cheeky kills still.
Well, you gotta pad those stats. Oh, and the stat padding backfires on the Syndra, getting her first death of the game right before the end.
Fortunately, that doesn't affect the KDA. It goes from uncountable to just a 16 KDA here in game one. Just very strong showing there from NXN, being able to push the envelope, make sure they get everything they wanted, and come away with a pretty clean victory.
Definitely a clean showing by NXN. We'll have to see how they play in the next round.
Taking a look at the bracket here, with NXN winning their match there does set them up in the semifinals. They don't have their opponent just yet. We are waiting on the conclusion of Absolute Momo versus Late to Register. But looking at the other half of the bracket, we had Alex Shang versus Stanford, and losers Q players and Colgate. Stanford and losers Q Gate were the victors there, and will find themselves facing off in the semifinals.
I'm excited to see where this takes us. We'll just have to wait and see who is the victor between Absolute Momo and Late to Register.
Yes, thank you everybody for watching this game. Great job on the cast, guys. This was a pretty swift game, but we'll see if the winner of Momo and Late Registration can give them a bit of a tougher time. Thank you guys all for watching so far. We'll be back in 5 to 10 minutes with our next matchup. Stay tuned, don't go anywhere.
infinite power, infinite power, infinite power, power, infinite power, infinite power, infinite power, infinite power. Infinite power. infinite, infinite power, infinite, infinite power, 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 power. Infinite power.
Another twist of the night, the turn of the screws, it's all in your mind, and it's fighting you on yourself. The storm is coming. Well, kid, what you gonna do now? It's your reflection looking back to pull you down. So are you gonna die today and make it out alive? You gotta come to the monster in your head, then you don't fly, fly, Phoenix fly. Some burn you and fight up, go bury your demons, then tear down the ceiling, feed them fly. And now you're playing with matches, come out of the ashes underneath you. A million voices in the crowd, they're screaming. Well, let them swallow the pride, you're turning the tides. True believers, got them in the palm of your hand, you're playing. Come now, what you gonna do now? It's your reflection looking back to pull you down. So are you gonna die today and make it out alive? You
targets tattooed between our eyes. Stand and fight under the lights on the higher stage. A part of your life they can't take away, just like the blood running through your veins. Everyone's watching through your eyes. There's only two options: win or die. Win or die. Win or die. It went from a spark to an open flame. Now destiny's calling out your name. So reply, so reply. Ignite. There's a power that's underneath, and you can't see it till you believe. On the edge of infinity. Feel the rush under the lights on the higher stage. A part of your life they can't take away, just like the blood running through your veins. Everyone's watching through your eyes. There's only two options: win or die. Win or die. Win or die. It went from a spark to an open flame. Now destiny's calling out your name. So reply, so reply. Ignite.
Welcome back, everybody, to the BLCS bracket stage. On our final day, we have the semifinals going on right now between Team NXN and Team Late Registration. I have Mike, Angel, and Andy on the cast with me. What do you guys think about this draft?
Right off the bat, I think it's a very similar draft for NXN from what we saw last game. You know, they did have to make a couple changes due to pick and bans. Cassidy, Ornn, and Kaisa, the new additions to the squad. But I think that all of the same objectives that they had in the first game are still present here. They have the scaling mid laner, they have the very tanky top laner, and they have an AD carry that just does tons of damage. But I think that the late registration squad definitely seems a bit more cohesive than what we saw last game, and they have an equally very solid composition.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see what they're going to do with this Vayne pick. I feel like this, with the Jarvan peel and the Maokai peel, and along with the Lulu ultimate, I think it's going to be able to keep her really safe, and it's going to allow her to get all the damage off that she's going to need to in order to kill the Ornn. But we'll have to see if they're able to execute that.
Yeah, definitely the J4 is going to be quite an easy champion to get onto the backline for Team NXN, so it all depends on how Rakan and Ornn help protect this Kaisa and this Graves.
I'm excited to see if late registration is going to be able to stop this Graves from being able to completely take over the jungle, just as we saw him do last game.
And I think something that is worth pointing out right now is that the very tanky Ornn and the AP mid Cassidy are seemingly swapped. Right now, as you guys can see on the screen, there's about a minute and a half left in the spectator delay, which means that there's no trading possible, and we have E-Hate, the top laner for NXN, on the Kassadin, and Dumal on the Ornn, which, unless they lane swap, means that it's a Kassadin top into Maokai and an Ornn mid into Syndra. And I gotta say, one of those is so much worse than the other.
I'm gonna say the Kassadin and the Maokai is not good.
No, that is absolutely terrible. But it's just really unfortunate because Kassadin does use a lot of spells, typically in lane, because he's trying to farm. Typically, he's in a ranged melee matchup, so he has to use his Q to farm a lot. Against Maokai, he probably doesn't have to do that, so he can get away with not using a lot of spells, which means Maokai doesn't get his passive procced a lot, which means he doesn't heal a lot. However, it also means that Kassadin doesn't get stacks on his E, which means he can't get slows off. So it's kind of a bit of a double-edged sword. What it does do is it does put Kassadin in a very free farm lane for the most part, so he is going to be able to just collect a lot of gold, get the items he's required to be this typical late game just demolisher that we're used to, which he really wouldn't get in a lane against Syndra.
Not to mention that they're also on blue side, so Kassadin's just going to be right there to pick up any blue buffs that Graves doesn't want, and he can just easily, like you said, free farm the top lane and continue to scale into that late game monster, while Ornn in the mid lane will be able to, if maybe not be able to push the lane that well, but concede some farm and make some plays on the top side or the bottom side of the map.
Definitely, but the one thing we have to remember is that Team Loser Q has picked up the Lulu, and nothing feels worse than a Kassadin jumping in and your target not dying. Because once you jump in as Kassadin, you're in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Thankfully, the Kassadin does have a lot of dive buddies. The Rakan and the Ornn both want to be getting in and diving that backline as well. Plenty of opportunity for Kassadin to get lost in the fray. Graves also going to be having that smoke screen to cut off some vision. So there's a lot actually going on because Kais is going to be diving in as well. And so it is really a game of cat and mouse for late registration to defend their Vayne and their Syndra so that they can be these damaging forces that they want.
J4 spawning out the Ornn and the Graves. Kassadin going for a cheeky Q.
So pretty good vision there. They are going to see potentially if there's going to be an invade or if it is just, BO2 trying to get some information up top. So by that sound, it leads me to believe that your game also froze.
Yes.
All right, so it's not just me. Not quite sure what happened, guys, but the league client, at least on
The
our
spectator
end,
side.
yeah, the spectator side seems to have just died. Oh, there it goes.
And
We
we're
are back. Oh, jail. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure this time.
Are we
Very
back?
odd. But Riot and spectator clients are notoriously.
We can't
something
hold it to
else.
Riot. They're a small indie company.
Are they? They have multiple games now. I can play 4 separate Riot titles right now.
That is correct. All on their own client.
And not well, TFT and League are on the same client. That's why you can't have TFT on mobile and play League on PC at the same time.
True.
Truly a design flaw.
I think so, especially when you're in these challenger queue times. I know that everybody in the chat is used to seeing sometimes you don't get a game for 40 minutes and you just want to play a little TFT to kill the time.
Exactly.
Well,
I mean,
no
we-
TFT being played here. We're gonna get a lot of farming going on.
And so while we do have a downtime, I do want to shout out to our sponsor HyperX for helping us out with this tournament. Just making sure that we do have all of the best sound and peripherals to go along with it.
Definitely.
But I'm interested by this bot lane because Kevin on the Rakan does have a slight heal, but Lulu's a very poke-heavy champion, and when you can get Vayne in a situation to, not level 1, but proc that Silver Bolts very quickly, all of a sudden that little heal doesn't add up to anything.
Jarvan coming behind, knocking with the Poly Kai'Sa, and that's going to be an easy kill for the Lulu.
Perfect setup, perfect Jarvan gank, and along with the polymorph from Lulu, made that an easy kill.
Yeah, no opportunity to flash the flag and drag due to the polymorph. And then once that lands, it's over. You have no HP left, so why even bother flash healing? You're probably going to die anyway.
And the one drawback is that it went down onto the Lulu, so no early goal for the J4 or the Vayne. So really feels bad for the Vayne considering how much she has to work to get her power spikes.
Although now they are able to push the lane into the turret, and Kai'Sa's going to lose a lot of CS here.
So this Ornn Syndra lane is going to be so interesting to watch because Ornn actually has a ton of kill pressure on pretty much everybody you can play into him. I've seen Ornn kill Rivens before, and Fioras, and Camille's, and the champion's just silly. But
oh yeah,
on a squishy mid laner that's very cooldown reliant, that doesn't have any sustain, you can kind of dial that to 12. And because of how much Syndra likes to push lanes to potentially get a roam, it sets her up for either the solo kill or the gank opportunity from the Graves as well.
Yeah, we saw earlier Ornn get one combo on the Syndra and she lost almost half of her health bar. Lots of pings going down on the top side jungle. Graves getting spot out by the J4 and it seems like they're just gonna walk away.
Yeah, Graves still having his flash means that there's not really too much of an opportunity to, try and catch him out.
Lots of farming.
And that's kind of the name of the game right now. You have Kai'Sa and Vayne in the bottom lane, very scaling champions. You have Kassadin, Maokai on the top side. Again, kind of scaling champions. And then Ornn, obviously one of the ultimate scalers, bringing so much gold value to his team with these upgraded items that he's not going to have for another 9 levels. So it is just a waiting game for now. Drake's not even a thought on the jungler's mind right now. Graves, while last game we saw him take it pretty early, seems to not have attempted it just yet. And that could potentially be because of Roa's Jarvan focusing the bottom side already, getting that first blood down there, knowing that it's potential to happen again. If Graves were to start up the dragon, there is a world where he gets caught by the Jarvan Syndra and just dies, and ends up giving the dragon as well.
Yes, that's a very likely possibility given all of the damage that J4 has early game and combined with the extra CC from the Syndra.
Let's not forget some of the cheeky advantages this Ornn has, as he's going in onto the Syndra and getting some massive damage that he, whenever he's running out of mana, can just go back to his tower and get more mana. Buy some more mana.
True.
It's just like downloading more RAM.
Exactly.
You guys wouldn't download a car.
I would. There's no downside. You get a car, and your bandwidth gets throttled for the rest of the month. It's all gone.
Very true. Some cheeky trades here going on in the bot lane, but nothing really comes from it, given the Lulu and Rakan sustain.
So we're probably going to see fairly similar build paths from these two marksmen. Kai'Sa obviously going to going for the Manamune style, but eventually they are both going to have the Ginsus and a lifesteal item. If I'm Kai'Sa, I'm probably going for the Mercurial Scimitar, but there is a world where she picks up Blade of the Ruined King, I feel.
Yeah, definitely. With all the tank on the enemy team, with the Maokai and the J4, and the recent buffs to Borg, makes it a really interesting item.
I wonder if what what AP items Kaisa might opt for in order to upgrade her W if she chooses to do that at all.
Personally, I think the AP Kaisa is all or nothing. Yes, the W upgrade is nice. You do get the bonus passive proc along with the reduced cooldown if you do manage to land it. But I feel like being required to build Gnasher's Tooth after your Ginsu's in order to get that upgrade, it's potentially gold spent worse. Like, you can definitely pick up your Mercurial Scimitar in that spot. You can pick up, a Runan's Hurricane in that spot. Something to complement the other portions of your kit, along with just having some more outright damage. Comboed with having a Cassidon in the top side, that is alone just potentially all of the AP damage your team needs. I don't know. I feel like it's just gold that could be better spent, but you do get the opportunity, like I said, to get that bonus passive proc, get the reduce cooldown, and become more of a poke monster, and set up the opportunity for your Cassidon and Ornn to go in and be this assassin bruiser duo.
Definitely no reason for the Kaisa to give Ornn and J4 more excuses to build a MR, which will protect them from Kaisa and Cassidon, as opposed to letting Cassidon just freely go onto the tanks that haven't built their MR yet.
Very interesting rotation there coming out from NXN, setting the bottom side up to get the Rift Herald.
J4 going in solo onto the Rakan Kaisa, not getting the kill onto the J4 or Rakan, finally securing it with his flat or the drag, and then Ornn looking like he's gonna get caught out, but just gonna walk away. Flash heal used by the Lulu.
Pretty close fight there. Almost everybody dying, but you can look at the sides here. Every summoner spell spent by the bottom half of the map except for Vayne.
Yeah, Vayne manages to hold on to those, probably because she just wasn't in the fight, but the flash heal by Lulu is very interesting. But the ignite and the flash from Syndra, unable to secure a kill, definitely a big loss there. Marks her as a easy target for a gank.
So just a few moments ago, we saw Graves take the first dragon in the game. He got the Cloud Dragon, and now the next dragon will be Infernal Dragon, just like last game.
Those good old Riot scripts coming together, making sure that we have a defensive soul, just to prolong these games. Everybody gets tankier, everybody survives a little bit longer.
Definitely an interesting game to have more defensive-based dragons, but J4 going for an invade is going to get spotted out on this red ward. And then Cassidon going into the Maokai, Graves coming into the smoke screen, smites, Maokai dashing to the Graves, and gets out with his life. Just barely surviving the Graves ultimate there. Graves popping the Rift Herald, and this seems like it's going to be first tower for Team NXN.
Yeah, a little unoptimal there, popping it. Oh, big engage on the bottom side, though. Kaiser gonna get knocked up. Ultimates to save her life with the shield, eventually going down to Doinby, and the double kill for the Syndra as well.
Huge play there. J4 just barely surviving after taking tower shots for almost the whole fight and getting charmed by the Rakan, but able to focus down the Kaisa and escape.
Like you said, though, first turret does indeed go over to NXN. Took a little bit longer than it potentially needed to. Using the Rift Herald when it has more than 3 plates does make that very end portion of the turret very hard to take. The more plates that are taken, the more defenses it has.
That was very greedy by the Graves of back in his enemy team's jungle. Maokai waiting until the last second to root so that he could hand over the kill to Syndra.
We actually saw the question mark ping coming down from his own team as well.
Definitely a a feels bad moment when you get question mark pinged by your own team. Syndra, though, picking up 3 kills in just the span of about 2 minutes, backing and buying a Hextech GLP.
Yeah, this Syndra is going to be an absolute monster in fights, especially with that ultimate and all the damage that she brings. With a Syndra being ahead, it's just no bueno.
Oh no,
Rakan
Kevin!
jumped over the wall.
Interesting interaction going on there. Some odd spaghetti code or something?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I've honestly never seen that. The only thing I can think to explain it was that in the middle of the battle dance, the Condemn came out, which knocked him out of his dash, and due to it hitting the wall meant that he was stunned, and he was stunned on the inside of the pit, which means he no longer had any escapes. But Infernal Drake, we're gonna get the Ocean Soul this time. A little bit different. You can see the blue hue and the flowers sprouting up everywhere.
Definitely one of the more aesthetic changes to the map as opposed to the other dragons.
Yeah, I definitely would have to agree, but I can't imagine
Vayne
an
tanking
Ocean
tower.
Soul on a Maokai. The healing will be absolutely ridiculous. I hope they prioritize it because I really want to see it.
Or the healing on the Kassadin. Rakan going with a big ultimate, charming Kaisa and J4. Lulu ulting the Vayne. Vayne gonna escape and disengage the fight. Syndra waiting in the bush for the Graves, ulting the Graves and stunning, and that's gonna be the kill. Polying the Kassadin as he jumps in, ulting the Kassadin, barely gonna live. Red buff kills him. Kaisa not being able to secure a kill on the Vayne goes down. Orange jumping in, knocking up the Lulu. That's just gonna be another kill. We saw this a lot yesterday. Yeah, clean ace. We saw this a lot yesterday, though. We had a team that went in one at a time to 1v5 the enemy team, which just doesn't work.
No, and especially at this point in the game where, you know, late registration was already so far ahead, you know, you need the full team fight to be able to connect all the pieces together of that Lego set. And unfortunately, NXN, like you said, going in one by one, it's like trying to build a Lego set out of a box of mixed match pieces. It's up to the imagination, and they weren't really feeling it that time.
It doesn't result in any cohesive image. Gray's gonna get this Scuttle Crab, and then go for another Rift, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, they
giving
got
some
the
help.
tower.
The red team knows that they're on the Rift, and NXN disengages.
That does give the free Herald, though, over to late registration. Already in an advantaged position, they would potentially be able to use this if they'd actually decided to go for it, which it doesn't look like they will. They could have potentially used that to crack the mid tower, which would open up a lot of potential for Syndra to be able to move around the map, get more picks with this GLP and the Scout of the Week, and potentially set up more objective control, especially with the next dragon being in 2 minutes, which actually is pretty interesting because at this stage of the game, both teams have one dragon, and so
the Scout of the Week landing on the Kaisa, the ult going down, but not enough damage to kill. Ornn ult coming out, knocking up the Syndra, and then clean engage and clean disengage.
Yeah, no summoner spells spent by the NXN squad. Just the Ornn ultimate coming through. Kaisa keeping hers. Kevin using the Rakan ultimate as well to keep his AD carry alive. But
I think something that's been overlooked is the Kassadin has really been abusing this Maokai in lane, even though he's down a level. The Maokai is just sitting under tower farming, which is, I guess, what he's planning to do the whole time.
Yeah, not a whole lot he will be able to do at this stage of the game. He is just going to get out damaged, but this is a lot of damage coming through. Turkey Master going to pick up the kill, able to flash forward with the help of Lulu, and they should be able to get this top tier 1 as well, especially with that Herald. They could actually go for 2 here.
Yeah, Vayne picking up that Blade of the Ruin King, finally getting some damage onto the more tanky targets. Really coming into her own here on the champion.
Item, obviously, doubly effective on the Ornn, who has been in a magic matchup this entire... It's just dead. right, definitely didn't need the Cataclysm there, but
It's about sending a message.
he's helping.
The Rift Herald just takes down the tower immediately, so we'll probably see a second charge, or Loser Q will just abandon the Rift.
J4 pinging the Ocean Drink coming up in 31 seconds. They're probably going to set up some vision and look to try to take that next.
So the Ocean Drake's pretty huge because whichever team does get the soul this time gets 3 Ocean Dragons on top of the soul itself. And so the very first Ocean Dragon does give you 2.5% out of combat life regeneration, I believe. I'm struggling to remember if it's 1.5 or 2.5. I believe it's 2.5. We'll find out in a second. But that's a lot of out of combat health regeneration. Once you get the 3 dragons and then you get the soul on top of it, it's going to be almost impossible to fight their way through it.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said earlier, just a minute ago, it is 2.5% every 5 seconds of out of combat.
Definitely helps with any siege that Team Loser Q wants to try and pull off.
And it does
Seems like
help
we're
them with the objective control as well. You know, they will be able to survive the Baron struggles a little bit easier. You know, baiting out potentially some engages from NXN. But for now, like you said, the siege is on.
Going for the classic ARAM. J4 waiting in the bot side jungle to see if he can catch someone out. Graves getting a pink ward on his blue. And the Ornal comes out. Ornal going down onto the J4 and the Syndra. Nothing really comes from that.
Yeah, no follow-up afterwards, unfortunate. But it
Caston-
does leave the tower for a little bit longer.
Caston has just finished his Seraph's Embrace at 19 minutes, so he's in actually a really good position right now.
He's gonna have a real delayed Roa though. So we'll have to see how he completes his build path.
This is the very greedy version of the Cassidon build. You know, you are hoping that the game can last until almost 40 minutes before you really hit your stride. And the pace being set right now by late registration is simply not going to allow that. They're looking to end this game within the next 10 minutes.
I'd say even sooner than that, because they know that the Cassidon will eventually turn into a monster, and they don't want to have anything to do with that. They seem to have been very systematic with their objectives. They've gone from Dragon to mid to bot, and they're backing to buy, and it seems like they're going to go for a Baron soon.
Blue side has a little bit of vision control around the Baron. Looks like they're moving over to try to contest to some extent, but red side is just so far ahead right now that it's going to be so hard to be able to fight any sort of Baron that red side is going to be able to bring to the table.
Yeah, red side is re-establishing their priority in the mid and top lanes. Probably gonna see Lulu go for some vision here in a second, or go back to see what her Vayne is up to. Lulu spots out some wards in the Baron area. And we see J4 and Syndra coming back towards the Baron pit. Maokai has his TP, so... But there is also the TP on Cassidon and Ornn. So it will be matched. Seems like they're playing the vision game right now.
Vayne coming in with the Rage Blade. It's a huge power spike, and now they're going to look to fight for the Baron.
Ornn getting spotted out. Nothing comes from that, and then back towards the Baron pit.
Both
Right now, it
sides.
really is on late registration to control the pace of the game. They're doing a great job so far getting the vision control forcing NXN to peek into an area that's unsafe. When you have Syndra, Jarvan, Lulu, Vayne, you cannot just check bushes. You can't just walk through unwarded portions of the map because you're going to get CC'd and dead. And so now, like, this is free. There's no response from here from NXN. They're going to get the Maokai teleport, but the Baron's already gone.
Yeah. Maokai teleport just to make sure that no one tries anything funny. They're gonna walk mid, Orin's gonna dash. Vayne flashes
Wow.
over Maokai with the chase. And Orin was just destroyed.
Very
Vayne-
aggressive play there from Turkey Master.
Yeah, both Vayne and Maokai on the same page, flashing the wall just to ensure that they get the pick. So now they can go and take the dragon uncontested. Or they can look to push mid with the Baron buff.
J4 going real deep, ulting the Graves, getting the Lulu ult in return. And that's going to be an inhib.
Middle inhibitor going down, setting up potential plays in the future. Something to notice after that play itself is that because of the loss of Ornn and the push down middle, E-Hate on this Kassadin, who had been pushing onto that bot tier 1, was no longer in a safe position to do so. Oh no, big engage here.
Oh, Rakan pushed out from getting his ultimate off. Charm's 3 members has to Zhonya's and is going to get picked off here by the Vayne. Maokai still not dead. Wow, what a huge play by Syndra, getting 3-man stun.
And we're hitting the stat check portion of the match where Vayne is just so far ahead that she's just gonna win. Like, look at this, she's gonna just run him down. Turkey Master, unstoppable. Nobody is gonna be able to touch the Vayne at this point. There's too much CC. The ace coming in, the wild growth saving Turkey once again, who now has supers in the base with this Baron buff. The rest of the team shortly behind. This should at the very least be another inhibitor, but this Vayne's just too far ahead. 2 items completed, and only going to go up from there. Probably going to be picking up an Infinity Edge next, or potentially like a Phantom Dancer, something to stay alive.
Yeah, you know, it's hard to believe that Vayne having 2 items means she's too far ahead, but that's just the nature of her kit and the synergy that it has with Bork and Jinsu's.
It is the unfortunate reality when you play champions like Kassadin and Ornn and you get stomped really early. You're not given the time to scale or utilize your character's greatest strengths, and it makes for a really sad time.
Although it is seeming that late registration may have overstayed their welcome, giving up 3-4 very quick kills. Lots of gold going back over to the carry side of NXN. And that definitely just elongated the match we're about to be watching.
I was going to say, I think I spoke a little too soon there.
They're just trying to give him a chance.
The good old give him a handicap play. But it does stall out the soul that we were going to be expecting. NXN now getting an ocean of their own, equaling that healing factor. But, I mean, this Vayne so far ahead, picking up that Zeal, looking like it will be... again, I still think it's going to be a Phantom Dancer. It could potentially be the Rapid Fire Cannon as well. Yeah. But I think the Phantom Dancer is the correct call. You do get that life-saving shield. And when you do have the dive potential happening, I think when you combine the Phantom Dancer along with another defensive item, like a Mercurial Scimitar or a Guardian Angel, then you set yourself up to be very deceptively tanky and, you know, the real carry that your team needs.
Yeah, my only question is whether she even needs the Phantom Dancer, considering she has a Lulu with her. And she wants the Fire Cannon. Oh, and question has been answered. It's the Fire Cannon. Or the Phantom Dancer, I mean. So it seems this Vayne just wants even more survivability.
Yeah, and the Lulu's a good point. The Lulu's a good point. And I definitely agree that you should trust in your support and allow them to be the carry to the carry in a way. You know, you can't have a good marksman without a good support. But this does open up Lulu to potentially save Doinby or Roa, another big threat in these team fights. And now you don't have to solely tunnel onto Turkey Master. Ingenious can now look to Syndra, save them. They don't have the Zonia's Hourglass just yet, so they're a little bit lacking in terms of survivability.
Right. The 2 Ornn items on the Ornn, the Forge Fire Cape and the Infernal Mask, and then Graves picking up the Obsidian Cleaver.
That one's a little curious to me. It's not very typical we see that one. I suppose it makes the most sense because you're trying to get Graves as even and as far ahead as possible. And at this stage of his build, he's not going to be hitting another item that can be upgraded for quite a while. But it is... I don't know how impactful the bonus stats on that item are.
Well, I think the other thing is that Kai'Sa has yet to build an item that Ornn can upgrade, and I think they're going to save Kassadin's upgrade item for a Rabadon's should that time eventually come.
Which, yeah, you're right. It does make the most sense. And we had talked earlier about the Kai'Sa build path. That Gnasher's Tooth will give her the W evolution. Getting the bonus passive proc, the reduced cooldown on hit, does set up some pokey plays. But we've hit a game where Vayne Jarvan can now duo the Baron, and there's just negative response. They don't even know what's happening. They're still trying to get the supers out of their base, and things are looking so tough for NXN right now.
So if you are NXN in this case, what are your options in order to come back into this game? Is there even a way or a possibility that could even happen?
I'll say that Dragon Souls have always been a huge factor, so if they're somehow able to get out of the base and get to a dragon, it might be one factor that could lead them back into this game, but it appears that Loser Q just wants to take all the inhibs again and walk some super minions in the base with Baron.
So this is definitely where your Kassadin has to win your game for you. You do not have any other options. You simply need the Kassadin to win the game. You need the Kassadin to kill Vayne. If Vayne survives for any amount of time, it's just team fight over. And so
Ornn coming out, missing everyone.
And like you said, this might be the desperation fight that NXN is looking for right now. Whoa, wow, what a big engagement.
But Ornn's still going down, and Kassadin jumping in and missing the Vayne, and this will be the end for the Kassadin. Oh, barely gets away, flashes back into his fountain. Syndra down, Lulu no health, Vayne still alive and well, blowing up the enemy team.
That Ginsu's Rage Blade on the Vayne stacking up this entire time, giving double hits every 4th auto. I don't know. That item's changed so often I can't keep
from
track.
the Kassadin onto the Vayne, but if you don't one-shot her, she'll come and DPS you down before you can go again.
Yeah, just a pretty standard protect the Vayne comp coming out from late registration, and you can see just why this composition style is so effective year after year after year. If you have a marksman player that can do their job, then all you got to do is make sure that they stay alive. Lulu, the epitome of the protect composition, combo with a Jarvan Syndra. This is a typical TSM comp from Season 8. This is what they ran every single game, and they just blasted through everybody.
Definitely a classic bot lane wins game, but it was a spectacular showing from the loser queue. They definitely won a very methodical game. So unfortunate for the NXN, but they definitely put on a good fight, winning a couple big battles in the end, but unfortunately they just couldn't keep it going.
So what this does, though, is it does set up our final match today. It is going to be loser queue players versus late to register, and this is going to be a best of 3, folks. So be aware that the first person to win 2 games is going to be your champion today. And so, from what we've seen already from Late to Register, single-handedly stomping NXN, who had stomped their match before that, this could really be a very exciting finals that we're about to see. And if we can get a similar composition out of Late to Register, I think that they are just gonna run away with it, honestly.
Thank you, Andy, Mike, and Angel, for a good cast on this exciting game, late registration, with, as you said, the Protect the Vayncomp Turkey Master, along with FPX Doinby on the Syndra. Just absolute monstrous damage contribution. So, as you said, Loser Q versus late registration, best of 3 finals coming up soon. We'll be back in about 5 minutes with the final match for our BLCS. Thank you all for watching, and see you soon.
Legends never die. When the world is calling you, can you hear them screaming out your name? Legends never die. They become a part of you. Every time you bleed for reaching greatness, relentless, you survive. They never lose hope when everything's cold and the fighting's near. It's deep in their bones, they'll rot into smoke when the fire is fierce. Oh, pick yourself up, 'cause legends never Yes, you're very quite tough, always having bad luck. You think you're going crazy, look up, there's a new life waiting. Your head's buried in the sand, you've been dealt the wrong hand. Can't imagine how you feel, only you know that it's real. Don't look back, just carry on, carry on, carry on. Don't look back, just carry on, carry on, carry on. Because you are stronger. Yes, you are stronger. Because you are stronger. Yes, you are stronger. Yes, you're very quite tough, always having bad luck. You think you're going crazy, look up, there's a new life waiting. Your head's buried in the sand, you've been dealt the wrong hand. Can't imagine how you feel, only you know that it's real. Don't look back, just carry on, carry on, carry on. Don't look back, just carry on, carry on, carry on. Because you are stronger. Yes, you are stronger. Because you are stronger.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the BLCS. We have for you Game 1 of the finals coming in right now. We are just going to enter the spectator delay for the Champion Select. We see the drafts in front of us. With me I have Angel, Andy, and Mike on the cast. How are you guys doing, and what are you expecting for this exciting Game 1 of the Finals?
It does look like we do have another set of champions on our screen, and once again we do see the two teams going for fairly different but same compositions. You know, lots of dive and AoE potential coming out from late registration, while the loser queues also have a lot of dive and zone control.
Yeah, I think it's pretty interesting to see that loser queue seems to be opting more for a poke comp with the Varus and the Zyra pick, along with Corki with spamming his ultimate. It's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out. While on the other hand, we have a classic composition with the Orianna Shen, with the Shen going in with the taunt and with the Orianna ball looking for some big engage. So I can't wait to see what this game's going to come up with.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting because we've seen both team comps or styles of team comps succeed so far today. We've seen the pick comp succeed, and we also see the team fight comp succeed. So it'll be interesting to see which one comes out on top here. I definitely think I like the Orianna Shen Jarvan combo more than I like the Maokai Corki Varus, because it seems like we haven't seen a lot of dual ADC comps win today.
Corki, though, a bit of an odd duck when it comes to the ADCs, like you said. You know, primarily doing magic damage while building full attack damage. It can make the itemization very difficult when you're trying to build against, you know, Corki, Kha'Zix, Varus, Zyra. Like, that is a very confusing build path that you're going to have to find yourself work through. But Shen, thankfully, can completely negate auto attacks. That is something that's going to come up so huge in these big team fights if he plays a more defensive Shen. If he plays the hyper aggro, I'm going to taunt and kill you Shen, it keeps him alive, which, again, still pretty stellar.
Definitely something to watch out for is the Shen. It'll be huge to see how the team plays around that blocking auto attack ability.
Not to mention, the Shen ultimate creates so much map pressure when it comes to contesting dragons. So not only is TP going to be relevant, but he's also going to have that Shen ultimate that's going to allow him to make cross-map plays all the time.
Definitely interesting to see. Varus and Zyra, though, not a duo to be underestimated. With the CC from the Zyra and the overall damage that comes out from both of them.
Zyra is something that we haven't seen a ton of in the bot lane more recently. You know, it has been more dominated by these enchanters and tanks, you know, champions that are there to keep your marksman alive. Zyra, very opposite of that. She just wants to kill the opponent marksman, and she is so excellent at doing it, to the dismay of marksmen everywhere. But I feel like late registration have a solid answer to it in the Thresh. Zyra is very squishy, and so if you can get an early advantage and land that death sentence on it, onto the Zyra, get the early kills, it does take away a lot of the pressure of Zyra in that kill lane.
Well, you have to remember, your ADC can't die if the other ADC is dead. Which I think is what they're going for in the bot lane here for Varus and Zyra.
Well, we'll just have to see now that we're loading in.
We did see an early ping towards the top side tri-bush. And so it is looking like late registration want to go for this invade. And right now, Maokai is ready and waiting. Is he going to die? Is he going to live? He gets a ward, which means he's going to live.
Maokai stepping away from the bush, leaving it warded, knowing that the entire blue side team is top side right now.
Kha'Zix backing.
Probably going to go back and pick up the sweeper.
Varus with the E first level gets some damage onto the J4.
Minions have spawned.
Now, the red team has warded the enemy red buff, so they will know where J4 is starting and where he will be eventually.
It does look like he's going to be starting on top side, though. Does lead us to believe that he is going to be prioritizing this bottom lane. You know, we talked about how Varus, Zyra are going to be focusing on killing the enemy laners. They're very immobile, very squishy opportunities, and so when you combine the Jarvan CC and damage with the potential Thresh CC and damage, it does set up a very volatile opportunity, which is why we see Roa starting this blue side. He's going to take Gromp, Wolves, go down to the red buff. At that point, the red ward could potentially be timed out, and the vision only half as useful, because they'll know that he's not there. However, Kha'Zix is taking full advantage of this and is going to invade and is looking to get a 3-buff start over the Jarvan, which is very detrimental, I feel, in this matchup.
Definitely very big for this Kha'Zix to get 3 buffs. J4 going straight for the Kha'Zix, though. Red buff going over to the Kha'Zix.
Both sides pinging for help. J4 looking really low. The flash forward from the Varus with the Q. Just
Flash response from the J4. Flash is going off everywhere. Oh, Corki gonna die to auto attacks.
Very scrambly portion in the bottom side ends up giving first blood into mid lane. Gangplank with the great Taste of Fear turnaround. They're going to trade back 1 kill for themselves before going down to Turkey Master. And just action all over the map. And the directed camera is going to take us to the wet noodle fight in the top lane.
It's all the action that's left here is the wet noodle fight between Shen and Maokai. But what a turn of events. The Zyra barely living, going for the re-engage, Kha'Zix getting the kill on, then dying himself.
3 members on loser queues having no sons.
Definitely not a good sign, but especially since they didn't come out with the kill advantage. But the mid lane fight was insane. I wish we could have the replay to see what happened, but the Orianna looked like she just autoed the Corki down and then threw her ball and got the kill for first blood.
This is a pretty standard mid lane that we're seeing. You know, everybody always memes about Corki Azir, Corki Azir, Corki Azir, but people forget that before Azir was released, it was Corki Orianna, Corki Orianna, Corki Orianna. And so they're both very good control mages, we'll call it, just for the sake of uniformity. They're both going to clear waves very quickly. They're both going to have opportunities to roam very quickly. And then when it comes to these team fights, they just deny area all day long. And their damage potentials are sky high. We're going to see this Corki go a very standard build. He is picking up this Fairy Charm very early on just to try and stay on par with the Orianna's mana usage. She is going to be picking up the Lost Chapter first back, which she does eventually back. That first blood going to be coming in so handy. That 400 gold goes very far early on in the game. And so that's just what we're going to see this mid lane. Farming into rotations, into team fights.
Kha'Zix, though, with the early kill, definitely going to give him an advantage. Even though he died, he still has that 300 gold boost that's going to put him towards a damage item all the more sooner. Shen going for a ward on the topside Tribe Rush. Caution Ping is going down topside jungle.
It's going to be interesting to see what these junglers are going to prioritize for the next steps within this game. Are they going to prioritize dragons? Are they going to prioritize ganking their laners? Are they going to focus top side or bot side? We'll just have to see.
Well, we do know that we have a Cloud Drake, but in the meantime, Kha'Zix is coming up to see if the Shen's gankable. Gonna get spotted out by a ward. But we do have a Cloud Drake as our first dragon. We'll have to see if we get another Cloud Infernal pairing for our first 2 dragons again. Thresh with the invade getting spotted out.
I think it's very interesting how this bot lane's going to go. You know, we saw earlier today the Xayah Ezreal lane. Xayah obviously just curb stomped the lane and made it basically impossible to win the game. What we're seeing right now is a gank in the bottom lane.
Thresh hook, not sure what happened to it there, but didn't matter. They got the solid kill onto the Zyra. J4 just walked away.
But what I was going to say is that the Xayah lane is always going to have a lot of kill pressure. It is a very standardized build path. It is going to go with that lethal tempo into crit and damage items. Pretty standard. Varus is another one of these champions that we've seen today that has multiple build paths available to them. You know, they can go the on-hit build where they go Blade of the Ruined King and Ginsu's Rage Blade, or they have the build that we're seeing right now, which is Arcane Comet as the keystone into a lot of lethality items. They're going to see the Yomu's Ghost Blade, the I can't remember the name of the red one, but the Umbra Blade, things like this that just do a lot of penetration damage and make the use out of his piercing arrow.
Lots of blade names. Dusk Blade, I think, is the
Yes.
one you're looking for.
That is correct. And so it's a very early game focused build because lethality is a flat armor reduction. If you have 8 lethality, you subtract 8 armor. And so very early on, and especially in these bottom lane like this, where these champions don't have a lot of base armor, you do a ton of damage. But once you start getting to mid and late game, when you have the likes of Shen and Jarvan, who have a ton of armor, it's noticeably weaker damage. And so when your lane is already down very early on, it's very hard to come back from.
Yeah, I think that the red team is definitely looking for more of a poke-centered comp with the Corki and the lethality Varus. And big fight coming out top side. Shen ulting the Orianna. Kha'Zix getting caught out, probably just gonna die, and Shen takes that kill. Maokai left that fight early.
The Orianna TP seemed to be a little bit scary, but you got the big ultimate on both of the Maokai and the Kha'Zix, which then led into the Shen ult to save her life, and then the easy cleanup onto the Kha'Zix kill.
And I like the decision to give the kill over to the Shen instead of potentially like the Orianna or the Jarvan. Jarvan doesn't need the gold. Orianna already had first blood. She got her money. The Shen, however, can make such great use of this by being further ahead of the Maokai. That is actually a doable kill for Shen. He has a lot of damage, a lot of opportunity, and so when he can build up more gold, he can, potentially go a riskier, more damagey build. And so that bonus 300 gold lets him do a little bit more silly things. And Maokai now just kind of has to hold it. And when he's building, this Sunfire Cape first item, he's going to push the lane a lot. And Shen and Jarvan are going to be able to team up a lot to just completely camp out the Maokai, who is not a mobile champion, who can potentially die a lot. Like we've seen when every time Maokai is popular, he just gets ganked into high heaven. It's ridiculous.
Definitely an abusable champion, but he definitely has his place in the late game in the team fights. Kha'Zix getting spotted out in the jungle, and the blue team calling for help.
Woo!
Corki packaging across the pit, getting that Thresh kill.
The Corki
And,
damage is already very disgusting.
I was going to say, that was really surprising damage. It's a little bit more surprising when you realize he actually doesn't even have a sheen. That was all just damage. He's not even completed an item yet, and he's doing that kind of damage.
Orianna and J4 come in and try to steal the dragon. Orianna steals it with her ultimate. Kha'Zix dead, and J4 goes down, going onto the Corki. Maokai is TPing in.
The dragon was left with 1 HP. The easy steal from the Orianna.
Actually won.
You hate to see it.
It's definitely a feels bad moment as a jungler. I think that Kha'Zix got caught in the 2 seconds of being CC'd between the J4 ult and the Orianna ult.
Lots of damage coming out of this Varus Zyra combo, though. I think it's a little bit of an assist from their big buddy Maokai. And
Well, he was down there anyways. He might as well help out.
Sometimes you get that solo queue top laner that's just like, I gotta get back to farming. I need this gold. I can't fall too far behind.
Nah,
But
he's Maokai.
Yeah,
He'll be
thankfully,
alright.
he's Maokai. Gold doesn't matter as long as you can press R. And right now, he is going to be going down roughly 30-ish CS to his lane opponent, Tennis God Panda, um, who I believe is sitting on a bit of a bankroll. Yeah, 1,800 gold in the bank. Will definitely be able to complete that Spirit Visage on his next back.
Spirit Visage, a big item, help him sustain the lane against Maokai. Not that he really needs it, but he'll just have that Spirit Visage ready for the Corki as well.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Corki is notoriously difficult to itemize against, building full attack damage, dealing, straight 50-50 damage between magic and normal. And we heard the Rift Herald go down. It looks like it was sneakily taken by Gangplank Man, which I'm kind of disappointed in now actually noticing the name that we didn't get a Gangplank jungle. I think that would have been pretty stellar.
Well,
Yeah,
unfortunately, it's banned out by the other team.
They didn't want to mess around with the coveted Gangplank jungle.
So that was a nice little submarine play there. They do get the flash out of Sunny, but unless Roa goes back to that lane within the next 5 minutes, I feel like using the Shen ultimate at that point could be a bit of a waste. So Roa is going to be picking up his buff and giving it over to the Orianna, but I would really like to see him just instantly path right back up to this top side.
That'd definitely be the smart thing to do. They know the flash is down. They know Shen has the priority, but we'll have to see what happens. Seems like he's just going to go further back. But here's the strat that you don't always see. 2 wards in the bush.
I see that a lot. I don't pay attention to other people's wards, and so I do put wards in warded bushes.
Zyra going for some vision clearing. Kha'Zix dropping the rift down bot lane. Since we're gonna have a fight. 4 players bot. The blue team coming in to reinforce. But the rift's gonna get that charge off and get first tower gold for the Kha'Zix. Another nice little income boost for him since he's been falling behind a little bit, help him get back to his assassinating potential. Orianna waiting in the bush for a kill. Ults goes onto the Zyra.
Yeah, really nice flash there, keeping Biscuits alive. But it was a really nice play to use the Herald there. I feel, it does do the true damage to the tower, so they do get the insta-kill on the charge, but it also opens up this bottom lane, who was really in a rough spot. They weren't getting kills in the lane. Thresh Xayah is just a bit too safe, so they can't really abuse the Zyra Varus damage combo. And so now that they can open up this opportunity, you rotate the bottom lane mid, you focus on, bullying the Orianna, and it forces, late registration to either respond in putting their Orianna bottom to match the Corki, or they force her to a 1v2. Now that she already has 2 kills, you kind of starve out this mid laner.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they decide to do. Oh, the flash ultimate onto the Orianna. That's going to be a shutdown. Easy take there. Varus getting that kill.
Not exactly what I thought would happen, but it's definitely on the list of things that are pretty good if you're loser queue players.
Definitely key to get that bounty money, so stop the Orianna from continuing her farm. J4 is relegated to block mid lane.
I will say, so far, this is probably the closest game we've had so far out of the games we've casted today.
I would agree.
Definitely interesting to see what Corki plans to do with his package next. Seems like he's setting up for another dragon take.
And so our, cycle of dragons finally being broken. We have the cloud into Earth, and it does look like we're going to be getting the Ocean Soul once again. But it's odd. We don't get an Infernal Soul just yet. Hopefully we'll get one today. But
now the Ocean Soul will be key for the red team because they don't have as much tank as the blue team. So being able to heal that up in the fight is going to be key for winning. Yeah,
I do feel Ocean Soul is a lot better on these poke type comps that are able to constantly regenerate their health and their mana by just spamming out their poke abilities over and over and over again. That's going to make sieging way more successful for their side, and even all-out brawls will be much better too.
Varus
Really?
finished his Edge of Night as well as his Umbral Glaive. Interested to see what his next lethality item will be.
He's probably just gonna get them all at this point. Maybe
Why not?
Maybe
a
pick
Hex
up like a
Drinker.
Bloodthirster as well. Hex Drinker's actually pretty good. There's a lot of magic damage in the Orianna, so having a little bit of extra survivability would always be nice.
Or potentially a Death Stance.
Death's Dance is what we're going to call this gank here on the top side. 3
Definitely.
members onto Maokai already. We get the teleport coming in. The Feather Call, stunning him up. But things are devolving pretty quickly here in the fight. There is still a tower here for late registration.
Xayah blows flashes into the enemy team. She ulted and healed the Kha'Zix's engage, but that Maokai is just so tanky already. Zyra
Wow.
getting the easy double kill onto the J4 and the Jarvan and the Thresh. This is just falling apart.
So this is the power of this lethality Varus. You know, looking at the items across the board for late registration, there is not a single armor item. The closest thing to an item, we'll call it, is the Ninja Tabby on Roa. But like, he has 3 or 2.5 lethality items. He is just melting these people like butter. He's essentially doing true damage to at least 4 of these members right now.
Yeah, definitely a lot of damage coming out from this Varus. Really good for stalling out this early game and getting some leads so the Corki can come online later.
And let's not forget the huge Zyra ult that she was able to get underneath the turret, along with the Oblivion Orb that she has. She's doing so much damage to this enemy team, who's also just starting to itemize more MR, probably because of the Zyra and the Corki. But like you said earlier, that's allowing this Varus, who's itemizing into so much more lethality, that's allowing him to do so much more damage.
Yeah, I
He
mean,
just
even
finished-
the magic resistance is pretty lacking on late registration. You know, Shen obviously getting the mask there, but he was in a magic damage lane. Like, nobody else had to deal with that so far.
Definitely. Thresh gonna die to the Maokai ultimate. Not sure why he was fighting under tower there. Varus picked up his Ghost Blade already, so he has 3 armor items. Still hasn't completed his boots yet.
Who needs boots when you can do a third of an enemy champion's HP with just 1 ability?
From a screen away.
And that probably wasn't using the active on his W either. I'm not familiar with the particles on this skin for that ability, but
He gets red and angry.
red and angry, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, when you're getting more damage, why wouldn't you just get red and angry?
Or purple, if you're a magic dealer.
True, but not sure. I couldn't really get a good glimpse of the bolt wasn't traveled, but still a lot of damage coming out. Seems like they're setting up for another dragon. Might as well get a start on the ocean drakes. Thresh getting caught out. Shen ult coming in. Box going down. Shen getting chunked by that Varus Q. Complete disengage.
This Thresh is just not very tanky.
Definitely not yet. He's working on a stone plate, I'm assuming, with his chain vest and no magic mantle.
Yeah, that's a good way to at least cheat some health in order to become a little bit more survivable when you're going into the enemy team.
Corki going in the Orianna. Huge damage. Orianna not even getting finished. Corki blows her up very quick. Now he's going to fight with the J4. Thresh coming in as well. Not sure that the Thresh can do anything. J4 is just going to have to tank the Corki until Xayah shows up. Xayah gets that kill on the Corki. Kha'Zix and Maokai getting the kill on the Shen. Lots of fights going on. Not really sure if this is going in the favor of the blue team.
Yeah, late registration definitely coming out worse for wear in this kind of macro exchange. You know, Corki being so super mobile, he is hanging out in that top side. He is able to take out the mid laner after they did get the Shen ultimate earlier. So killing the mid laner, dragging the enemy jungler top side, it does open up the dragon for free. And loser Q players actually took even further advantage of it by going after the enemy top laner, getting the kill there, and being able to pop the Rift Herald that they still had on hand. They get the tier 2 tower and 80% of the tier 3 HP as well as the Ocean Dragon. So they got roughly 2 kills for it, 2 towers, a dragon. Like, everything just came up loser queue right there.
Yeah, now they're gonna reset and spend their hard-earned gold. So we finally see the Cole completed. We finally have the Triforce on the Corki. And it looks like Varus is going for a Last Whisper item. Not sure if he's going to go for the Lord Dominic's or the Mortal Reminder.
I'm going to say Lord Dominic's. And the reason I say Dominic's is because we already have a Morello's onto Zyra. And I feel like he's just going all in on this armor pen idea. Just want to shred everything. And we have pings going out around this Baron pit. This should probably be the next play for Loser Q. The Dragon's down. It's down for 4 minutes. They have a pushing wave in the bottom side with Sunny, who does have his TP available. They have vision control. They don't have scuttle control, but they have vision control. And now they're getting kills.
Corki has his package, so dodges the Orianna ult, kills the Xayah immediately.
Wow.
J4 living with just a little sliver of health. Shen ult saving the Orianna, but doesn't get to complete, and Orianna goes down anyways.
Yeah, and that's the insta-call for Baron. They have 3 members. The only one alive on the map left for late registration is that Shen. Doesn't have his ultimate. Has TP, but he's not going to TP away from Sunny. Too many interrupts available. This should be a free Baron.
Free is an understatement. The only thing they're going to have to worry about is not dying to the Baron. Which hopefully shouldn't be too hard with all the damage that this Varus can put out.
And this is just such an awkward fight. If this were allowed to continue, Sunny would definitely get the kill. But it looks like he is just going to be the sacrificial lamb for this Baron play.
Not sure why he stayed. I don't think he really needed to, but he's going to get the kill on the Xayah anyways. That was worth, I guess. I'll change my statement. That was worth.
It's
The
worth
first-
short term. I feel
first
long
death
term,
is not
Baron's a
about
little bit
high.
more useful.
Well, he has 4 teammates with Baron, so if he can kill the Xayah, I think that was amazing. That really reminded me of the great times we had in Season 5 and Season 6. With Maokai and Nautilus in the top lane, just not doing damage to each other. Here we have Zyra coming through the bot side jungle. Looks like the blue team's just looking to reestablish some vision in their jungle.
Quick thing to remember too is that all the lethality that Varus is packing, he's going to be doing more damage in depending on how much higher of a level that he is in comparison to his enemies. So, for instance, when he's throwing a Q at the level 10 Thresh, he's going to be doing probably half of his health, if not more.
Well, that was a third, but
Well,
if he
minus
popped
the
that
bone
W
plating.
on, yeah, if he had that W on, it would have been probably a lot worse.
But this is such a methodical game coming out from losing a few players on the red side. They have the Baron. They're just sitting mid lane. They only have to be here for about 40 seconds until the dragon comes up, and then they just take the free lighted path that they've already set up for themselves.
Yeah, all the while this Varus is just throwing the Qs into the base, seeing what damage he can get. Shen dashing in, misses the dash. Xayah ulting the Xayah ult still gets hit by it, and the Corki missile takes her out. Thresh hooking and flashing onto the Varus, Oriana catching Corki and Varus, nothing to do though. Shen getting popped by the Corki. J4 and Maokai just battling it out, and J4 goes down along with the tower and the inhib. We might just see the game end here.
Yeah, I feel like Maokai is tanky enough that they can just kind of tank these towers. We see Kha'Zix going in for the tank, but the minions are there. The Baron empowerment is there. One Nexus tower, second Nexus tower, and that is going to be game 1 going over to loser Q players.
Definitely looked close in the beginning, but red team really pulled it out of there. He definitely established themselves as the better team. We'll have to see what happens in the next game.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting how, like you said, the early game was so much closer, but I feel like loser Q players, I don't know, it's tough to say that they out macroed because all the players were in the right spots on both teams. It was just really that big top lane tier 1 play where Varus was able to get the triple kill, seemingly to just set off the rest of the game. You know, he was already on even to ahead, and then he gets a triple kill. He's able to just springboard that much more forward, and, you know, at that point, it looked like the confidence from late registration just kind of broke apart. You know, instead of being the aggressor, they were more reactive. Instead of going for plays, they reacted and responded to loser Q players in what they wanted to do. And so even though they had the better scaling composition, they lost the opportunity to stall out and, you know, take advantage of that stall.
Yeah, I would have to agree that dive to the turret 1 tower in the top lane really just seemed to set the game up for the loser Qs and really allow them just to steamroll the rest of the match.
That said, though, that is only game 1 here of our best of 3 series. We do still have some fantastic more League of Legends action coming for you guys. We will have to see how game 2 goes. Can late registration bring it back and take us to a game 3, or will loser Q players just take another stunning lead again and close out the series and win it out for you? Stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
As a child, you would wait and watch from far away, but you always knew that you'd be the one to work while they all play. And you'd lay awake at night and scheme of all the things that you would change, but it was just a dream. Here we are, don't turn away now. We are the warriors that built this town. Here we are, don't turn away now. We are the warriors that built this town. The time will come when you have to rise above the rest and prove yourself. Your spirit never dies. Farewell, I've gone to take my throne above, but don't weep for me, 'cause this will be the labor of my love. Here we are, don't turn away now. We are the warriors that built this town. Here we are, don't turn away now. We are the warriors that built this town. Here we are, don't turn away now. We are the warriors that built this town. Here we are, don't turn away now. We are the warriors that built this
What are you willing to lose? You cover your wounds, but underneath them a million voices in your head that whisper, stop now. Another twist of the knife, a turn of the screws. It's all in your mind, and it's fighting you on yourself. The storm is coming. Wow, kid, what you gonna do now? It's your reflection looking back to pull you down. So are you gonna die today or make it out alive? You gotta conquer the monster in your head, and then you'll fly, fly, Phoenix fly. It's time for a new empire. Go bury your demons, then tear down the ceiling, Phoenix fly. And now you're playing with matches, come out of the ashes underneath you. A million voices in the crowd, they're screaming, stop now. Well, let them swallow the pride, you're turning the tides to true believers. Got them in the palm of your hand, you're playing God now. What you gonna do now? It's your reflection looking back to pull you down. So are you gonna die today or make it out alive? You gotta conquer the monster in your head, and then you'll fly, fly, Phoenix fly. It's time for a new empire. Go bury your demons, then tear down the ceiling, Phoenix fly.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to BLCS. We are in the finals, Game 2, with Team Loser Q versus Team Late Registration. I have with me Angel, Andy, and Mike. Casting with me on this final day, what do you guys think about this draft and these teams going into Game 2?
Well, I think last game really might have hurt the mental for late to register with just how badly that game turned out to be in the later stages, and with another Varus pick by Loser Q, you just have to think like, what is late to register going to do to not let this Varus take over again?
Well, I do think that loser queues and late to register were pretty even up to maybe I think the 15-minute mark when that right before that unfortunate turret dive on the tier 1 on the top side happened. But before that, the game seemed to be really, really even. So if late to register can try to hold on to that early game momentum, maybe they can try to look for to extend their leads in other ways and not let something like that happen again.
And I do kind of like the picking mentality has changed up a little bit for late to register. You know, they still have the Jarvan in the jungle, the tanky top side, but they've gone with a different mid laner. Zillion is so different and is so unique in the mid lane. I feel he does have, you know, the speed up, slow down, obviously the ultimate and the revival, you know, the bomb stun. Like, there's just so many different things that not a lot of other characters bring to the table. And so if we can see him be involved in a lot of the skirmishes that we saw from last game and be able to use that ultimate effectively, it does open up late to register in that they can survive these skirmishes that they lost last time. You know, maybe instead of giving the triple kill to Varus, if Zillion's there, he doesn't get a kill at all, and they end up trading. And so now they've still gone with a scaling AD carry. Tristana does need some time to get going, but she has a steroid in her kit. She does have the speed boost on her Q. She could be a bit more relevant early on, and she is just gonna shove these waves into Varus. And so the advantage that he had last game in that he was just farming along, not really having to worry about it too much, is going to be very difficult this time because he's going to have to be farming under tower unless Bard can cancel out the aggression from Lulu. And because Tristana's just going to push wave after wave after wave, if Varus is farming under tower, he's missing farm. He's losing tower. He's at a disadvantage, not in a position to get triple kills like last time.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree, especially with that with Doing B Zillion pick. It's going to be it's a lot more of a defensive pick, and it's definitely going to save it's going to save his teammates' lives a lot more, and it's going to prevent those picks from happening. So I'm super excited to see how that's going to play out.
And I mean, this isn't to say that the loser queue players' composition is any less threatening. You know, having the Lissandra Azir combo, Azir is one of the highest damaging mid lane champions you can find. There's just so much going on with that champion that if he can get ahead or even stay even with his lane opponent, this case Zillion, he can actually be doubly as effective, you know, using those sand soldiers to, you know, stream a shuffle, setting up big plays for the rest of his team, you know, just poking out from so far away, the extra survivability that he brings to lane. And then you also have the Lissandra who can just dive in, stun everybody, and set up, you know, the Varus for more arrows.
Well, Azir definitely is one of the higher DPS champions in the game, but he's also one of the highest skill requirement champions in the game. So it'll be interesting if he can rise to the occasion and really put some work in on the Azir.
Yeah, that is true. And we've talked about ease of execution already today, but there's nothing easier than just raining arrows down as Varus and slowing the entire enemy team.
That is true. We seem to have had a invade in the bot side with all 5 showing up on the bot side tri-rush. They get spotted out though with nothing to show, so
I think it's really interesting. I feel like they went for a trundle this game to try to counterpick the Maokai pick. While Maokai definitely does have a lot of healing in terms of his passive, it'll definitely help out a lot with how much armor and MR he's going to be stacking against this Azir and against the Lissandra.
yeah, definitely. Trundle is often slept on. I know he's a good counterpick to Olaf, but really any tank just really feels bad to play against a Trundle when he makes your stats that you've been working on his.
Yep. Anytime you always see that whenever we have a tank meta, it's always going to give rise to the Trundle coming up again and again and again to counter those tanky champions picked.
Seems
And
like a
when you only
Sorry.
have one true tank as well, it makes that Trundle so much more effective. You know, if they had picked true tank jungler as well, it makes the Trundle's decision making that much harder because he has to choose who he wants to steal the stats from. And so you can, think about it, be like, oh, well, obviously just pick the top laner. He's going to have more gold. He's going to be further ahead. But if, you have to make a decision, sometimes you make the wrong decision and it ends up costing you something. But right now, he can almost always just wait for the Maokai to join the fight, steal his stats, become the uber tank that Trundle can be, and allow the Varus and Azir and Lissandra to cut through the only tank line that late registration have.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested to see how this Lissandra pick plays out, because they've sort of gone away from all the tank that they had picked in the first round and gone for a more damage-heavy comp this time around.
Now, what would the interaction be if the Maokai were to die? Ooh, here we have a gank in the bot
Going
lane.
in, flash from the Bard, not getting anything, forcing the flash from the Lulu.
So I was saying, what if the Maokai were to die with Zillion ult? How would that affect the Trundle ultimate?
So Trundle ultimate, when it steals the stats, it steals it flat. And so I believe it's flat 40% of the stats steal. And so it doesn't matter what changes on the champion, he continues stealing that same amount of stats. So say, because we have Aftershock on the Maokai, which does give you resistance bonuses when landing a CC. If Maokai were to CC Trundle, proc the Aftershock, and then at that moment Trundle steals the ultimate, or steals the stats, when Aftershock ends, Maokai's even squishier because he's stealing stats based on that enhanced amount of stats. And so it makes him that much squishier. So even if Maokai dies, the stats are still stolen. And so when he spawns back, they should
Big
still be
gank.
stolen.
Forcing the Zillion flash. But like you said earlier, that Trundle's decision is already pretty much made for him. Is that if Maokai is in the fight, Maokai is the one he wants to ult. But we've seen 2 flashes get burned from late to register on the Lulu and the Zillion. Lulu can play back now, but the Zillion is going to be a really easy target.
Yeah, the Trundle and the Bard doing some really good work into getting these summoner spells early.
Definitely some big roams in the early game. Azir going for the shuffle, getting some big damage onto the Zillion. Zillion just going to speed himself away.
Not enough cooldown reduction just yet on the Azir to get that third soldier up and going, which would have given him a speed boost that could potentially have gotten a kill there. But, man, you've said it right. This Bard roaming all around, and that's what the character does, right? He goes to the other lanes, becomes a hassle, and always lands a stun, because that Q is just, it's so long. It's like a mile. You can almost never dodge
You
it.
hope he lands the stun. Unfortunately, we haven't seen any yet in this game, but there's still a lot of game to be played.
But I'm curious what the dragon plays are going to be. We do have the Earth Drake first. Those bonus resistances are good for really anybody, especially when you have, some tanky-ish characters on late registration that are going to want that bonus resistances. Trundle obviously probably doesn't care who gets it. He can love the resistances himself, or he can steal them.
Well, Bard getting caught out takes the magical journey to safety. But it seems like Trundle's going for the Cinderhold, which is honestly a really strong item for any jungler that can utilize it.
I wonder if, because of what you were saying with...
Big shuffle,
wow.
Big shuffle, Trundle going in, Zillion ulting himself, but it's not going to do much to save him.
So the thought process there was to wait for the ultimate to time out, but they played it too nonchalantly, and so now they
Bard
had to.
getting that first blood.
Yeah, kind of a weird situation. They might have been better off just killing him and proccing the ultimate, but I mean, they'll take kills where they can get them.
I think I agree that they should have killed him so he would still be stuck in very deep in the mid lane, because first level Zillion ulti without a lot of AP is not going to res him to very much health. But letting him escape was almost poorly decision, because he almost got away. Bard getting that kill though. Maybe see some carry Bard out today.
I'm wondering if Blue Side will even prioritize the dragon, knowing that Trundle can just use his ultimate on anybody on the enemy team and just steal the resistances anyway. That way, maybe prioritizing Rift Heralds instead, and allowing his team to stack the Soul Dragon even more later on.
That might be an interesting decision, but we'll have to see what comes about. J4 taking his red buff, doesn't seem to have Dragon on his mind.
Does have vision control though, so they can be aware of it if Gangplank does decide to make a move on it. For now though, just kind of clearing the jungle. He knows that he's taking the gank advantage, knows that flashes are still down in the mid lane.
Lissandra with quite a CS lead.
Yeah, this is a lane that we did see a couple years ago that was one of the lanes that Maokai really struggled with. And for the same reasons that we're seeing it right now. He's melee into a ranged matchup. He gets poked out a lot. He does build MR first, but you still got to wait till you get to that point. And so while Lissandra is going to be spamming out these abilities and giving Maokai the heal, if the abilities are connecting, then he's still ending up on the raw side of the deal for now.
J4 going in on the Bard, Polymorph going on the Bard, Varus whiffs the ultimate, J4 ulting the Bard, gonna die to the Varus, Trundle flashing, Champa missed the shuffle by Azir, Bard flashing, gets the stun on the Zillion, Lulu dies, and Zillion's gonna just barely get away.
Well, you were asking for it, and the Bard delivered, landing the flash stun. Varus coming out with a kill, and this is kind of reminiscent of our last game where Varus came out ahead after a small little skirmish.
Azir going for the aggressive shuffle onto Zillion, Zillion flashing away again, still flash down.
Yeah, and the mentality there from Jarvan is that Bard's roaming. He typically roams by himself as a champion. This game, it hasn't been so true. Biscuits has been doing a really good job about roaming with someone. You know, the buddy system coming into play, making sure that there's always somebody backing up your support. And we can see exactly what happened there. He had backup, but Jarvan didn't expect it. Jarvan goes in, eats some damage, but dodges out for most of the harmful CC, is able to try and trade back with the Cataclysm, but his friends were further behind than Bard's friends. And so he ends up going down in the end, and the rest of the team gets baited in just enough to go down as well. And now Bro is finding himself the Troll King, Troll Jury, potentially the Troll Executioner. We haven't seen it yet, though.
Maybe soon, but he's finished the Cinder Hulk, going for a Rift Herald, asking for help from the Bard. But in that last fight in the bot side river, we saw the Varus miss his ultimate and the Azir botch his shuffle. So not good sign if the game goes very late and skill becomes a factor.
I am curious about this lane swap coming in though from Loser Q. They are getting the Herald, which typically you do after the rotation. But right now, Maokai's at 50% HP. Syroxis chunking it down a little bit more, cutting the healing as well. And so they are potentially going to dive this.
Coming out. Trading ultimates.
Ultimate
the rest
coming
of
out.
the team's coming up. Tristana jumping in, getting stunned by the Bard. Lulu ult to help save her. And Varus flashes out.
So a lot of investment being spent here in this top side. Meanwhile, Lissandra had already roamed bottom previously is able to pick up a lot of farm, pick up plates, now currently sitting at about 25 CS lead.
J4 jumping onto the Azir, the Bard ult saving the Azir from the Zillion stun, the shuffle going on to J4, J4 ulting the Azir, and Azir dies to the red buff. Zillion ult saves J4.
Yeah, that was pretty much what you would want out of that situation. You know, getting a kill in favor of late registration, which is something they kind of desperately needed. It does go over to the Jarvan, so he'll be able to catch up in defensive stats to the Trundle, who already had a 3-assist lead. So these coming team fights, they'll at least hopefully be on similar steps. Trundle obviously wins the 1v1 due to his own ultimate, but the hope is there.
Trundle coming in to help the Lissandra. Ult going down on the Maokai. Lissandra with the flash snare. Is there enough damage? Yep, Trundle gets that kill pretty easily. Trundle is such a good pick for this team comp, given his passive and his ultimate with in relation to the other team. He has his ultimate to steal all the tank stats from Maokai, and his passive just means he has so much more healing as long as he can survive through the fight. He'll just tank for so long.
They
With the
do
Rift Herald-
go ahead and pop the Rift Herald to get first brick, setting up the next potential dragon play. I am curious what they're going to do with Varus, though, who has pretty much been by himself this entire game.
Well, it's a lot of free farm for the Varus, and he hasn't managed to get a level lead yet, but the Bard has been putting in work across the map, so it seems to be working out so far. At least the Varus hasn't been punished for it. J4 handing over a blue buff to the Zillion. Maokai still bot lane farming. Lissandra rotating back up to top lane. Lulu roaming down to the mid lane.
And this does seem like the correct play. They have the track on Dragon now. They loser Q anyway. They do now have the Varus bottom, who is the stronger of the marksmen right now. He does have a fully completed item along with his boots.
J4 ult catching the Azir. Azir ulting the J4 in the tower and Zonyaing the Cataclysm. Bard escapes, Azir escapes. Now Trundle's looking for the revenge. No fight to be had, everyone's disengaging. Lissandra free hitting the tower.
Yeah, Lissandra is loving life right now, getting all this free farm, all this free tower time. And meanwhile, the dragon now spawns. They are going to have to see who can get the quicker side to it. Tristana right now, though, just laying waste to this mid lane tier 1 tower. Definitely not what you want happening. Pings going on the
Trundle.
dragon. It does look like Trundle's going to be getting caught out.
Looks like there wasn't the blast plant there for the Maokai to take, so Trundle's just going to walk away. But it is a 5v4. Lissandra teleporting into the bot river bush. Trundle getting ulted on. Trundle ulting the Maokai, tanking everything. Lissandra killing the Zillion. It's very clean play there by Team Loser Q.
Lissandra and the Azir coming up big with their ultimates, easily winning the fight. And Lissandra is looking for more.
Sandra blows the Lulu flash, Azir getting the poke on, Trundle pillar, stops the Lulu escape, and Azir is securing that kill. Maokai is now caught in the backline, blows up the Lissandra, and now he's looking for the Bard. But the Bard stun's going to stop him right there, and the Varus is going to pick up that kill.
Yeah, really nice teleport in there from Lissandra. The fight
Tristana
was
jumping
started.
in, stopping the Bard, and ulting to get the kill.
Yeah, I think she didn't have the... She thinks she thought she didn't have the auto attack damage, and the flash was potentially there from Bard to get out. Is taking a bit of damage, but yeah, it was a really good dragon fight there in favor of loser queue players. You know, they had the Lysandra teleport in from behind. Bard was able to land a very clean stun on to the two carries of late registration, and so once that stun went in onto Tristana and Zillion, Lysandra was able to just claw in, get the ultimate down onto Tristana, take her out of the fight completely, and then they just moved through the rest of the team. You know, Zillion going down shortly after, Jarvan going down, and then it just really gave the dragon over to, you know, loser queue players, and now we do have what seems like our 11th Ocean Soul of the day.
Seems like it's been all Ocean Souls, except for that one Mountain Soul. But Ocean Soul going to be very important for this damage team on loser queue, so they can sustain through having to kill all the enemy tanks. Looks like late to register is going for a Rift Herald to try and turn things around. The Bard ult coming down the Rift. Azir getting spotted up with a Zillion. Seems like a 4v5 here. I don't know if this is the fight that loser Q wants to take. Rift Herald goes over to late to register fairly easily, and loser Q goes straight for the mid tower.
Pings going out for them to go with a second one. The teleport coming in from Doinby, but is he going to be able to defend this tower? Situations are really awkward here, and so now here comes Tennis God into 3, but he does get stolen. He is dead. Straxus on another killing spree. This Varus is so big once again.
Bard taking an interesting journey into the towards the base of late to register and going down fairly simply to Zillion.
Yeah, that one was a little questionable, to be honest.
It was a magical journey. You can't
You can't
question
deny the
magic
magic.
journey. Yeah. You never know what kind of adventure you're going on. Azir turret in the mid lane, hoping to stop any waves from pushing past, so he can continue this siege on the mid tower. And now we're going to see a reset from loser Q.
Just like last game, the Varus coming up with 2 lethality items, working on a third. Not looking that great for late to register. They're gonna have to figure out a way to get onto the Varus and be able to shut him down. But with the peel of Azir and Lysandra and Trundle, it's gonna make that very difficult.
Seems like it's just back to farming up some lanes. Azir spotting out that J4. Baron is the next objective on the map.
Man, this Maokai is still taking so much damage from the Lysandra, even after building, you know, the mask there. And it doesn't bode well, because he doesn't really have any armor yet. Yes, he has a couple cloth armors, but because of the resistance steal, it might as well not matter. And so because Trundle's AD, Varus' AD, they're going to be able to cut through this Maokai so quickly at any of these big objectives. And so like you said, Baron's currently on the table, Dragon's in another 20 seconds, and we can already see late to register are already moving in, trying to get these ward control in so that they can have a better chance at getting their first dragon of the game. But it's still such a tough fight.
Definitely not in late to register's favor, but they have to start doing something to turn this game around. They did get a few lucky picks in the cleanup of that last dragon fight, but they need to do something more. Lulu cleansing the Varus ultimate. Good play by that to stop something bad from happening and keep herself alive for this coming dragon fight. Late to register coming out of the jungle now. J4 diving in, ulting the Varus and the Trundle. Trundle securing the dragon. J4 flashing out. Lysandra's caught, she ults herself. Tristana gets pillared. Trundle running towards the Maokai, ults the Maokai, chases down the Zillion. Slowed and knocked up by the J4 and Lulu. Zonia's Zero with a huge shuffle onto Tristana and Zillion. Zillion ulting himself. Trundle running down the J4. Bard coming out with the slow. And that's going to be a J4 going down to the Lissandra.
Really unfortunate that Maokai had to itemize so much MR for the Lissandra lane because this Varus is just doing so much damage right now.
Yeah. They really just looked very uncoordinated on that time on the side of late to register. It seemed like J4 went in, but everyone else was waiting to back off. See, Trundle's pinging, his smite is on cooldown. Bard's going across the wall to stop the Zillion.
But this Azir is already a little bit too big, able to hop the wall and pick up a quick kill onto Doinby. And with the Baron secure, things are pretty tough for late to register. What I think should happen now if you are loser queue players is you do have a very secure 1-3-1. Azir on the top side, Lissandra on the bottom, send everybody else mid. You really shouldn't die ever, except for potentially
Azir
right now.
jumped up by the Tristana. Not sure how this is going to play out. Oh, Bartle coming in. Saves the Azir. Oh, what a play.
Wow.
What
Polymorphed up once again, but I feel like Biscuits could have had enough damage there to kill.
Lissandra with the late cleanse. J4 dashing in and securing that kill onto the Azir with the Cataclysm. Bar getting the stuns, but Polymorph now, Bar's going to go down too. Bar stopwatches the Bazillion ult. J4 secures the kill with his Q. And those are the kinds of picks that we need to see if they want to turn this game around.
Bard trying to do everything he can to try to get Lulu to take the kill, but unfortunately that wasn't the case.
It's also really unfortunate that the Maokai is straight up dying 1v1 to the Lissandra. You know, he does have so much magic resistance, it seemingly doesn't matter. You know, already having the Leander's Torment completed is Sunny, and so the damage burn there is just so hard to deal with as Maokai, even though he has these resistances. And Trundle wasn't even involved, that was just a straight up 1v1.
Right, I mean, Bard may look like he's not doing too well since he's dying the most, but he is doing everything in his power to keep his carries alive, which is exactly what he's supposed to do. Another lull in the action as Lissandra pushes up on the bottom side. Tristana and Lulu waiting in the bush, getting spotted out. Lissandra getting polymorph. Lissandra ults herself. 2 TPs coming in from Azir and Maokai. Lissandra just barely escaping. This Maokai is so tanky against these Azir and this Lissandra. They really need the Varus there to kill him. Zillion getting rooted. Azir shuffling forward, Tristana walking up. Not sure if that's what she should be doing as so low health. Azir keeping the pressure on.
I will say, Biscuit's Boots Bard has landed so many good Bard ults this game, saving the lives of so many of his allies. He's done a really good job of doing that.
A real tongue twister. Biscuits, Boots, Bard.
Yeah.
But I think Losers Q is doing exactly what I think they need to do, which is keep up the pressure on the late to register so that they have no time to really regain or collect themselves. Tristana getting a lucky kill on the Azir there. Lulu running down the Bard, but they don't know the Trundle is here.
Another big arrow coming out of this Varus, and this could potentially
Lissandra's back
do
in the
it.
fight. This fight's gone on so long, Lissandra has died and teleported back. And that's 3 people down on the side of late to register, and inhib turret going down.
And they're still going to push. They still have the majority of their team available. And the only ones left to stop it right now are Doinby's Zillion and Roa's Jarvan that he's been on all day. They're going to lose the first Nexus tower, but I think that's going to do it for him.
Bard almost getting caught out there by the Zillion stun. And now they're just gonna walk towards the dragon. Get this dragon soul potentially. This has to be where late to register makes their final stand. Because they're already having such a tough time. J4 with a huge flag and drag on the Varus, but nothing can save them. The Bard protects the Varus with everything. And a huge play with Lysandra dashing in and blocking up the Zillion and the Lulu. That's the Dragon Soul. Tristana's leaping away, but stunned by the Bard and one shot by the Azir. Maokai going to look for the Bard and does a little emote before he meets his demise.
That GG's in the chat. I believe that is going to do it for us here. This is the Loser Q players storming through the base. They are going to be cleaning up the Nexus as well. And that is a very clean 2-0 from them. Eventually.
Get a little stat padding going on there at the last second.
And I believe that will do it for our tournament.
Loser Q with a great win to become the winners of the tournament. No losers here today on Losers Q.
Yeah, and they played so heavily. They played so aggressively focused as well. They were able to take so many different advantages across the entire map. They completely out macroed late to register, and they fought their way through this bracket that we had today. They won every series cleanly. Yes, it was best of one up until this grand finals here, but you only need one sometimes, and they came out ahead.
They have won every game in almost a dominant fashion. This game had a little rough spots in the early game, but they definitely came out ahead and showed them that they were the better team.
Yeah, and that is going to do it for our first ever BLCS. Congratulations to Loser Q for winning the tournament. Thank you to Angel, Andy, and Mike with me on the cast. You guys did a great job casting the day. Thank you to our friends at HyperX for supporting this tournament, and thank you to everyone watching and all the players for participating. Couldn't have done it without you. Yeah, so thank you for watching, and stay safe. Enjoy your break or your finals, whichever comes first, and hopefully we will catch you all in our next broadcasts for future tournaments. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.